being afraid to look dumb. You heard me. Stop being afraid to look dumb and focus on your purpose. In case you didn't catch that, let me repeat myself. Stop being afraid to look dumb. You heard me. Stop being afraid to look dumb and focus on your purpose. Now, I made that video a few years ago and it still holds true today. One of the biggest barriers keeping brilliant healers and guides from reaching those who need them the most is the fear of looking dumb, sometimes called perfectionism. And today we're going to talk about how overcoming that one fear is the direct path to attracting more clients. And if you're someone like me who loves to yap and tends to ramble, good. This episode is especially for you. I'm going to show you how you can use this gift of gab, or what I like to call being a natural talker, to show up with ease. If you're new here, hey, I'm Crystal, too geeked, and I'm known as the Easeful Visibility Strategist. And this is the Easeful Visibility Shift, the show that helps wellness practitioners and guides get visible without the hustle, pressure, or burnout. Let's get into it. So, I want to tell you all about a story. Especially depending on where you're watching this, you can probably tell that I'm pretty comfortable showing up on live. Now, this was not always the case, okay? Um, I want to say 2021. Yes, 2021 was when I decided that I wanted to be more visible in my brand. I was very used to being behind the scenes from 2016 till 2021. That was how I operated. I was a social media and community manager, and I would help my clients show up and shine. And I had no online presence of my own, at least not business wise, right? And I knew that that had to change. I wanted to make it easier for folks to find me, as well as make it easier for people to confirm that they wanted to work with me, right? One of the things I talk about a lot is, especially in this wellness space, a lot of folks tend to rely on referrals and word of mouth. And that is amazing to be able to get clients and customers that way. However, you still want to have something that people can go back to and be able to really determine if you are the right person for them. Because a friend might share with them your Reiki services or your sound bath offerings, and that might be enough. But for other people, they're going to want to check you out. They may not even totally understand the modality that you are offering into the world. So they're going to want to do some research. And that's why it is so important to have some type of online presence. And this can go beyond social media. This can go beyond your own platforms. Okay. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. But first, I want to talk about the story time. So, as I was saying, it's 2021. I've decided it's time to make a shift. I've decided that I want to create a online presence for myself, for my business, to help people find me and to better connect with others. And I decided that going live was going to be the best route to do that. And that was because at the time, live was already, big, popular, all that good stuff. And most importantly, it was something that was really outside of my comfort zone, showing up on camera in that way. By this time, I had already started dabbling in videos and things like that. So I felt pretty good with that, but I felt like I needed a new challenge to really kick things up a notch. And I just love challenges, y'all. So challenges really motivate me and help me push past my own comfort zone. And so I decided I am tired of being limited. Like I felt very fearful of going live, and I didn't like that. And I decided that I needed to make a change. So me, being extra, I started not one, but two live series to help me get out of my shell. Okay. So one of the series was a teaching series called Two Geek Tuesdays, where I shared tips, tools, and resources to help at the time make video marketing a breeze. And then another one was called Soul Care Spotlight, where I shared various wellness entrepreneurs, and I talked to them about their self care routine and how they were managing to show up for themselves as they were literally providing and healing for others. And at first, it started off rough, y'all. It started off rough. It would take me, forget hours. It felt like it seemed like it took me days to prepare at first. Um, I would, on the teaching side, I wanted to make sure that I had clear clear graphics. I wanted to make sure that I had a clear transformation, something tangible that people could walk away with. And with the interview series, I wanted to make sure that my guests were prepared. I wanted to make sure that I was asking interesting questions, and I wanted to make sure that it would be things, tactics, and practices that my audience can leave with and try for themselves. And so, yeah, so initially I would be so nervous before going live, even with all the prep, it would just like sweating bullets, all that stuff, right? But the more that I did it, the more it grew on me, the more excited I became, the more it and not that you shouldn't prep or don't need to prep, but at least for me, the more that I did it, the more comfortable I became, even if I didn't have a script, even if I didn't have a true outline, I started to become very comfortable with just sharing what was on my mind. And I think part of that is because I like to yap. I like to talk to people. Um, I like to just voice my notes out loud in general. I am an avid voice noter. I love sending voice memos, right? And so I didn't realize how much of an advantage going live would be for me once I got over that fear, right? And I wouldn't have realized it if I hadn't pushed myself. And so, those people who have that gift of gab, that's what I like to call the natural talker when it comes to the ease of visibility styles. And this is someone who, again, is just very comfortable speaking, right? When it comes to communicating, you're probably not going to text or write it out first. You probably want to voice it out first, right? Have conversations with yourself or others. And so, with that being said, I continue to do those lives. I continue to show up, and now I can go live at a moment's notice, really, if I really want to, right? And this may not be the route for you. However, I wanted to tell this story to help you realize that sometimes the things that make us uncomfortable, it's often just because we're unfamiliar with it, right? Again, I prefer going live to most ways of being visible. With lives, at least for me, it allows me to not overthink about the editing, especially with the tools that I use. It allows me to really do the editing as I go. And so once the video's done. And I love that. But I also get that not everyone wants, even if you do have the gift gab, not everyone wants to be so unfiltered. Maybe you feel like you ramble too much. Maybe you're just not as confident in your messaging and in your stories as you would like to be. That's okay. There is so many places to start. And so I want to talk about that. So if you are someone who identifies as being a natural talker, as someone who identifies as loving voice notes, having conversations, and just preparing, and just preferring to communicate through speaking, I have some visibility tips for you. So, here are 3 ways that you can show up for your business using your natural strength of talking. So, One of my favorite ways to do this is being a podcast host or guest. And I say either one because they both have amazing advantages, right? Being a podcast host, even though you have all the tools, all the things that make it easier now, it's still a lot, especially depending on how often, how frequently that you want to run it, right? Because I always talk about how consistency is unique to you, but it is a consistent pattern. So whether that's showing up once a month, whether that's showing up bi-weekly, weekly, daily, oh my gosh, whatever that looks like for you, but having a type of cadence so that way your audience can know when to expect you and to know and start really gaining that trust, right? And so with that being said, being a host again may not be the best fit for everyone. You may not have the capacity to commit to a regular schedule, even if it is whether it's a particular day of the week or whether it is just weekly, bi-weekly, whatever that is. Maybe you don't quite have the capacity to be able to do that and plan for that, right? And so another great option is being a guest. And in some ways, sometimes that can work out even better because when you're a guest, you are being highlighted. You are the one who is being shown as an expert in your field. And as a business owner, that's what you want. You want other folks to see you as expert and as the go-to person to help solve whatever problem it is that you provide the solution for. And so that is one way. And again, there are so many tools, platforms, resources, whether you want to be a host or a guest. If you have some questions about that, leave them in the comments below and I will try to answer them how I can. The second way to show up if you are a natural talker is through talking head or voiceover videos. And so talking head videos is very similar to what I'm doing right now. Very simple. I'm recording, I'm talking. I don't have a lot of fancy graphics going on. I don't have a lot of transitions. I am just simply having a conversation with you through the screen, right? And so, and and just keep in mind, even if you are doing a talking head video, that doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. One of my favorite tips, let's come in. One of my favorite tips for folks, especially when it comes to video content, if you're feeling awkward, there's two things to try. The first thing to try is use your back camera because for some people, what makes talking head videos awkward is the fact that they're looking at themselves, right? And so that can become distracting. And so if that is your pain point, turn the camera around, use the back camera, and also that is tends to be a little bit higher quality as well. So little tip on that. And the next tip is if that's still you're like back camera, front camera, either way, it's still hard right now. It's still hard right now. I got you. The next thing to try is to do it with a friend. Invite a friend. It can be someone who is familiar with your business or not. Most importantly, is someone who you can feel comfortable with. Sometimes it's nice, depending on what type of video that you're doing, if they're not familiar with your business, because then you start to get questions that people might have that you, as an expert, may not be thinking of, but someone who is not as familiar with your field is thinking of, right? And so this can be live where the are in person where the camera is facing you, you're recording, maybe someone is asking you questions, maybe you are just having that conversation with someone and they're off screen. Another way to do this is virtually. Hop on a Zoom, use Riverside, use a platform that allows you to meet, interview people, and from there, you can take your clips of your video of you talking and use that. And also, this is really good to look into your own archive. I love upcycling and using what we already have, right? And so, this can look like going back, what are some coaching calls you've done, client calls, maybe workshops, things that you've done that you can isolate the video of yourself giving a thoughtful response that you can use and chop it up and share. And then the third way that I want to show, that I want to share for you all to show up is you can try hosting in office hours. And so this is something really cool because there's so many different ways that you can do it. This is again something you can do in person or online. I know of a company. They are a company that helps wellness practitioners and experts host retreats, and they do a incredible weekly office hours that is virtual, and they get people on Zoom and they start with folks in their community and then they expand it to other folks who have questions about marketing when it comes to retreats, about how to get more people into the retreat, about where to host a retreat, just all the things you can think of when it comes to retreats, right? And so that is their signature office hours, right? And with that, they're talking to people. They're answering questions. They're basically hosting a Q&A, right? That is a way that you can use and tap into your natural talker style to really connect with folks and turn them into clients. Because one of the ways that really expedites you turning folks into clients is giving them a win and are just helping them in general, right? And so by being able to help them with the example of this office hours, being able to help them with what you do, being able to answer their questions that they may have on demand. That is going to provide them a lot more trust with you. That's going to provide them a lot more clarity around what you do and how you can help them, which is going to increase the chances of them wanting to work with you, right? And are telling other folks about you. And again, this can be virtually, but this also can be done in person. You can find you a coffee shop. You can find you a place that maybe isn't as busy during the day, or wherever, whatever is the best time for you. A lot of people with physical locations, they are looking to bring more people in. So if you are able to talk to these owners about, hey, would it be okay if once a month or every 2 weeks that I can have a section of the area to bring in folks so that they can come in and have office hours with me, answer questions, right? And then this becomes a group event, which is really cool because there's going to be people who have questions and maybe they're too shy to speak up. Or maybe they have questions but aren't quite sure how to formulate it. And maybe other people who show up will help break that ice and help them figure out the best way they want to ask their question. So, those are three ways that you can show up if you are someone who loves to yap, someone who tends to ramble, or what I like to call being a natural talker. As a recap, they are become a podcast host or a guest, create talking head or voiceover videos. And the last one is to host office hours. And just to backtrack real quick, because I realized I just skimmed over the voiceover videos. This is really good because sometimes people feel like they don't have content. But again, look at the gold of that what you already have. If you're a natural talker like me, you probably have a ton of voice notes that you sent yourself, things like that. You can look into those and turn that into content, whether that is taking the transcript, turning it into written content, whether that's literally using what you said and incorporating it with a with B-roll. There's so many ways that you can leverage what you already have or something that is already natural to you to reach more of those who need you the most. So, if this conversation resonated with you and you're tired of doing this alone, I want to personally invite you to join my free community, the Easeful Visibility Collective. It is where we embrace the cringe and figure all of this out together because you don't have to look dumb alone. You don't have to look dumb at all, at least not for long. So, yes, I would love to invite you to join us. And I wanted to share the end, before I close this out, I wanted to share the end of that video that I made. So here we go. Instead of asking, what if I don't speak good enough, look good enough, or know enough things, try asking yourself, who can this help? How can I change a perspective or even a... You have it. Wise wisdom from past Crystal. So it was so good chatting with you all today. Until next time, remember, it's never too late to get out of your head and in front of your audience. Someone is waiting for